It's the 3rd of March, Rabbi Moore, Parsha Hashevua with Rashi, Pekudei.
Okay, got it. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Good. I can hear you too. 1 second. Very good. Okay. We were on Pasuk. Lou, you're in the middle of Pasuk Gimel.
Okay.
The Rashi.
Okay, let's see. Tasim dakin, thin plates.
1 second. Tasin Dakas. Before that, by Yeraku, Kamoy Lurkoya Haaretz. You have that?
Yeah, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, so spread thin, like who flattens the earth.
Rakosh Baruch Hu spreads out the earth. I'll tell you in a second.
Kisargumo
Radidu. Radidu means to make spread it out into a sheet. As the Rashi continues.
And in Old French, it's estendre.
Estendre. Become extent.
Tasin dakin, thin plates. Kan hu milamedcha. Here it teaches you Heach hayu tovin es ha-zahav im ha-chutin. It teaches you how they would spin gold with threads.
Yeah, I think I translated more rather than spinning, rather than twining. Yeah, how they would twine the gold with the threads.
Mirad dim tasin dakin. Okay, so they would beat plates thin. The kotsasin mehen pesilim leorech hatam. And they would cut strands from them across the length of the plate.
Right, of the plate or sheet of gold. So that these, right?
Lasos osan pesilin ta'aroves im kol.
I have mu'uravim in kol minumin. I don't know if you have the same words.
I have im kol min vamin.
Well, with each type of thread, runs from the 3 types of woolen thread on the linen. Yeah. Now, where was the gold
into the mixture?
Right, but where was the gold intertwined? with the 4 types. Where did the Torah prescribe there has to be gold? So Rashi says, "B'choishen b'ephod," in the breastplate and the ephod. Shenema b'enzov, where it says that it was gold. Supposed to be gold in there. So then Rashi carries on.
Hut echad
Chut echad
shel zahav im shisha chutin shel ticheles. So there was 1 thread of gold with 6 threads of turquoise wool.
right?
V'chein im kol min v'min. And so with each variety,
Each type of,
each and every type,
right,
shekol ha-minim chutan kaful shisha. For all the varieties had 6-fold threads.
right, 6 strands, right? They were twined from 6 strands.
Ve'hazahav chut shevi'i im kol echad ve'echad. And the gold was the 7th
strand with each one. So in other words, let's say it takes this up. You have the tcheles, which is made of 6 strands of turquoise wool, and the 7th strand was gold. So that was 1 string made out of 7 strands.
But these strings sounds like they were extremely thick.
Correct. I don't know how thick each strand was, but the said they were thick. Not only that, and everything was twined together. So each, when they made the choshen and the ephod, each string was made up of 28 strands.
Wow.
Imagine that this was clothing. It sounds like construction material.
Like rope.
Thick rope, thick, heavy rope.
Well, first of all, you have to understand that each strand could have been quite thin. I mean, take a look at your tzitzis, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So each of your strings of your tzitzis is made up of eight strands.
Mm-hmm.
It was still pretty thick. I mean, you can have the different levels of the standard tzitzis string is made up of 8 strands, but there could be different thicknesses.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, dokie.
Let's continue. Now there's a big skip here to the next Rashi.
I have the next Rashi is on 28.
Correct. So do I.
So we go from 4 to 28.
I guess so. It's going to describe how they made all the big day kahuna. I think I mentioned to you at the beginning of the week about this. There's 18 times in the Parsha it says Kasher Tzivu Hashem es Moshe, which the Midrash says is equivalent to the 18 brachas which we say in Shemona Esrei. Okay. Just 1 second. I'm going to have to I'll tell this person who's going to call me a number of times now. Tell him to call me in half an hour. Okay. Hello. כן, אני באמצע שיעור, עוד חצי שעה אני מזמן. Huh? As או בלוח על יד המקרר, בפנים, כן? או בחוץ, איפה שהמזגנים, הלוח של המזגנים. אתה מכיר את זה איפה? בסדר? אוקיי, ביי. Okay, let's continue. Yes, so it says 18 times in this week's Parsha, Kasher Tzivu Hashem es Moshe, in different different variations. And the Baal HaTurim says at the end of the Parsha that this is equivalent, this is corresponding to the 18 brachas of Shemona Esrei. There's a whole arichos over here. Where is it? Yeah. You don't have a Baal HaTurim in your editions.
No,
No, okay.
I don't.
Anyway, he makes a cheshbon. It's interesting that because where did the it's basically Anshe Knesset HaGdolah were the ones who instituted, should we composed the Shemona Esrei. And it's as it's called the Shemona Esrei, the Amida, whatever it's called, the Shemona Esrei means because there's 18 brachas. The Maisa, afterwards they added 19th bracha, Birkas V'lamalshinim Alti Hisikva, was added in afterwards. Upon those 19 brachas, and the Baal HaTurim says there's an indication of the 19th one over here. Because at one time it doesn't say Kasher Tzivu Hashem es Moshe, it says Kasher Tzivu Hashem Oisod. Keinosu. Where is it? Just yeah. Yeah. The Pasuk Mem Gimel, chapter Lamed Tes, chapter 39, Pasuk 43. How much is coming? Osu. I saw Kasher Tzivu Hashem. It doesn't say Hashem es Moshe. So he says that's equivalent to the 19th, corresponding to the 19th bracha. Upon him, we see that every aspect, every part of the Mishkan was like, it was very specific that there were dafka 18 aspects to the Mishkan. And each one afterwards it was Kasher Tzivu Hashem es Moshe. And correspondingly, Chazal instituted 18 brachas in the Shemona Esrei, which is obviously when they composed the Shemona Esrei, this is the best way of addressing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, addressing our tefillos to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, was in these 18 different forms of requests. Not all requests, but we want to praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we want to recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in charge of everything. There are 18 aspects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's connection to this world, let's put it that way. Okay, Maisa in the Torah, in his the Beis Yosef. Beis Yosef was one who composed, of Yosef Karo, who composed the Shulchan Aruch, but it was based on the Beis Yosef wrote a commentary on the Torah, and the Torah was the original one who actually composed the format of the Shulchan Aruch.
Oh.
And the Beis Yosef wrote a commentary on the Torah, and then as a result of that, he wrote the Shulchan Aruch itself. Upon him, there's also, he mentions there, he brings from the Medrash, that there were 18 aspects of Kosh Baruch Hu did 18 great things for Klal Yisrael, and for the Avos and for Klal Yisrael, and corresponding to that, the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah instituted 18 brachas. Okay, I just wanted to point that out. So once I go up to Pasuk 28.
28. Okay.
Viet hamitznefet sheish ve'et parei hamigbaot sheish ve'et miknesei habad sheish mashzar. So what's the mitnefetz was the headdress that the Kohen wore?
Yeah, that was a kind of a turban, I guess.
Or turban.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was the Pierre is glory, isn't it? Splendor, maybe?
Right.
Okay.
So Rashi is going to literally what the words mean. First of all, I want to point out over here, there's a big machlokes chat in this pasuk. Rashi learns that all the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol and the Kohen Hedget, both had the same kind of hat.
Oh, okay.
Okay, whereas many other Rishonim, based on this pasuk, indicates that there's two separate kinds of hats. There's a mitznefes and there's parei hamidbos. In fact, you have an end of Parsha, in Parshas Tetzaveh also similar expression. No, actually, there it doesn't say it. It just then, notice interesting. In chapter 28, pasuk 39, it says you put a linen shirt. You may put on a linen shirt with a special kind of indented material. Well, see some mitznefes sheish. And you should make a mitznefes, linen hat. You should make a belt made of masiroka, made of embroidered material. Okay, that's what it says by the Kohen Gadol and by the Kohen Hedget as well. Sorry, the next pasuk it says, pasuk mem, it says, "V'levnei Aaron tasek hutolos, v'asisolem avneitim, u'migbois tasolem l'choved u'lusiforos." Should make hats for them. Okay, and Rashi says that on that pasuk, "U'migbois hi mitznefes." The migbas written by the Kohen Hedget is the same equivalent to the mitznefes which was worn by the Kohen Gadol. Okay. Now here, this pasuk also seems, however, this pasuk seems to say there were two separate things. So obviously Rashi learns it's one and the same thing. By the Kohen Gadol it's called mitznefes, and by the Kohen Hedget it's called migbas. Okay, I'll call upon him. Rashi's this word pa'arei hamigbois. So Rashi explains, what does that mean?
Okay, Tiferet ha-migbaot, ha-migbaot
Hamafu'orot. So Rashi is
Okay.
making a very interesting point over here. If you look at what the pasuk seems to be, and the pasuk translate the words literally, pa'arei hamigbois, that's what Rashi does first. Rashi says, means the glory of the hats. Means they made the glory of the hats. So Rashi said, what do you mean? You don't make glory. Glory comes about as a result. But you make the hats and they are glory, they are not glorified, they're magnificent, they are, how would you say, something which gives a person glory? I don't know, let me see how I translated it here. Splendor. The splendor of the hats they made, which means, in other words, the hats were magnificent. The fact the hats had splendor. So they made the hats with, and the hats were magnificent. They were full of splendor. So though the Torah is telling you, make hats of splendor, so that the Torah expresses it in a way, make the splendor of the hats. I'm not sure why the Torah does that, but that's basically what Rashi is saying, shot in the pasuk here. The Torah is telling you, make the splendor of the hats, which means make magnificent hats. Are you with me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So that's what Rashi is pointing out over here. In other words,
Splendor of the hat.
it puts make the, how should I say, the resultant splendor of the hats, make that. So Rashi says, how you can't make splendor, right? You can make hats which are magnificent. So that's what Rashi's saying. That's what it means over here.
Wow.
Okay?
You know, it looks like mitznefet in modern Hebrew means a helmet for a soldier. Okay.
Those with sniffet?
I just looked up mitznefet, and it's Israeli military. A helmet
I
covering.
think I think they mean them. It's sniffet. They don't mean it's not a helmet.
Camouflage, maybe? You're right. It's
No.
not
It's a kind of a, what do you call that? The peak cap.
Yeah, I see. There are pictures here too. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what you call it in English. It has a special name, but it's the peak cap, the ceremonial hat, rather than the helmet.
Okay. You're right. You're right. I don't know why it said helmet, but okay.
But how do you
Anyway.
look it up?
I just looked up mitznefes, and it came up in Wikipedia as a helmet. But then like you said, all the pictures were showing not quite like berets, but different types of coverings, mostly all camouflage. You know,
Here he translates mitznefes in Google Translate.
Mhm.
It gives three options, main thing, as bonnet,
Oh.
mitre, or turban.
Oh, okay.
He even tries to have a trace of a strimal.
Oh, really? Whoa.
Anyway, has headdress as well.
Here.
Headdress.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Anyway,
Now, where are we up to over here?
we're going to go to, I guess, Pasuk Lamed Aleph next.
Yeah. Okay, this is actually a very long Rashi here, but let's make a start on it.
Okay, so let's see. Lamed Aleph says.
Let's go through Lamed as well, because then we know just what the subject's about.
Oh, okay. So we'll start with Lamed. V'ya'asu etzitz nezer hakodesh zahav tahor v'yichtavu alav michtav pituchei chotam kodesh laHashem. Okay, so they made the tzitz, I guess. It says Nezer HaKodesh, a crown of holiness, zahav, of gold, of pure gold.
So I translated it as, what else could be in here? 30.
30.
Yeah, they made the headband, sits, Nezer HaKodesh, the diadem of holiness. Nezer is like a diadem.
Oh, okay. Well, that's sort of like a crown, though, I think, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, so a diadem of holiness, okay. The Yiktavu, and they wrote on it, Miktav, leather, is that a leather?
Writing, with writing
Writing, Pituchei Chotam.
of an engraver's.
Okay, that said holy to Hashem.
And the words were written there. Yeah, and inscribed on like an inscription with signet ring type engraving. Only for the eternal. So that's Pituchei Chosom is like a Chosom is a signet ring.
Right. Oh, okay.
Pituchei Chosom means that type of engraving.
Engraving.
Type engraving.
Okay, very good.
Okay, now this is the next one we don't take. Parsha
Lamed
31.
Aleph. Okay. Vayitenu alav petil techelet latet al mitznefet mimal Allah kasher tziva Hashem et Moshe. Okay, so they put on it a thread of techelet, sort of like the tzitzit, I guess.
And what was it was just one thread.
One thread of techelet.
Right. I mean, what it
Okay.
means is obviously it was made up of 6 strands. It's possible.
Yeah, I don't know about here. I mean, here in Israel, but in America,
Yeah.
I saw in shul there are some people when they tie their tzitzit have one strand of techelet that
Right.
goes around the outside, so to
By
say.
the way, it's good you brought up the subject because there's somewhat of a not misunderstanding, but a lack of knowledge. We don't know really what the real tcheles is.
Mhm.
And the Gemara says actually why don't we put in something which maybe is tcheles? So sometimes it could make things worse, because if a person puts in the wrong color, it's not really tcheles. So it's equivalent, like you've got 3 strands of white, means uncolored, undyed,
Right.
and 1 strand of green, let's say. Maybe it's not really tcheles, maybe it's really green. Mamela, you've only really got 3 strands with the right color, and the 4th strand is with the wrong color. So
Right.
you've lost out on that. I mean, it's worse putting in the wrong color than putting no color at all. So therefore, that's why most Rabbanim nowadays, and because there's not enough evidence to show that people in recent years have produced, claiming that it is tcheles, there's not enough proof to them that it really is tcheles. So on the one hand, it's commendable that those who want to put on tcheles, that they do. On the other hand, they may be, if it's not really tcheles, they may end up losing out on the even the mitzvah of tzitzis of the original mitzvah. So therefore, the most Rabbanim advise not to wear tzitzit, not to wear tcheles. I mean, it's not chas v'shalom to say that if you're not to wear tcheles, that the ones which are people have come up with in recent years to show that it is tcheles, not saying that they're wrong, but we don't know. There's no definitive tradition enough to show that this, wherever this person was produced in this particular way, shows this tcheles, that it really is tcheles. What they all have in common is that they have all are like a turquoise color, but the shade blue-green shade. And the idea behind that is because Gemara says tcheles doy b'liyam. It's a kind of close to a sea blue, and the sea blue is like a bluish green.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So the Rashi, let's see. Okay, so latet al hamitznefet mimala. Okay, al yedei hapetilim.
By way of the threads.
Oh, by way of the threads. Okay, haya moshivo al hamitznefet kamin keter. Oh, it does. So what he would place on the mitznefet, a type of a crown, it looks like.
So I have a
Kamin
picture.
keter.
I'll show you 1 second.
Okay.
It's over here. This is where it looked.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
And it had three, you're going to see Rashi's going on to explain, it had three tcheles threads.
Threads, yeah.
Okay? One on one side, one on the other, and one at the top in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And the mice, there's six, I don't know if I have another picture, it shows how it was put on the head.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
A picture I have in my other book, which I don't have readily available right now. But it basically, the Kohen Gadol had a hat put on his head, and the
Right.
tzitz, there it goes, interesting, that the tzitz was between the tefillin, Kohen Gadol wore tefillin,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the tzitz, and the tzitz was over here on the forehead. It was tefillin, and then the hat. So all the pictures generally show that the Kohen Gadol wearing his hat down to here. That's inaccurate.
Oh,
Because he had to have tefillin first, and then the hat was further back.
oh, it's just the opposite. Okay.
Right. And then the tzitz was on the front over here like this, on the hairline. Up to, up to the hairline. From the hairline up was the tefillin. And then could be that the tefillin actually was smaller than what we have. And then the hat was behind that. So the hat didn't cover down to the forehead like this over here, but it was
sat in the back. Yeah. Yeah. More on the top of the head, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
There's one other point I wanted to mention. Yeah, so Rashi is going to go and speak about it at length over here. I don't know how much time we're going to be able to do it. Basically, Rashi brings, there's like a contradiction between two psukim. Here it says, Vayitnu olav psil techeles. That sounds like the strings or the threads were on top of the tzitz.
Mm-hmm.
Rashi brings a pasuk. It says, "Vasamta oisoi al psil techeles." Should put the tzitz on top of a psil techeles. So that's why Rashi says that since it was inserted through, so therefore you had both.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you just an example. I'm using the top string as an example. You see over here. So you have one thread on top of the tzitz. That's the one
Right.
sticking out at the front. And the one at the back, the tzitz was sitting on top of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's basically the idea, which Rashi is going to explain over here. And there was one, as you can see in the picture over here, there was one thread at the side,
Uh-huh.
thing at the side, another one at the other side, and one in the middle. So therefore, there were three strings
Wow.
of tcheles. Let me just check up how I translated it. Sil techeles.
It's also
Yeah, Rashi is going to mention that the high priest. Rashi is going to mention over here
mhm.
that Rashi says, "Saro hayonira ben tzitz lemitznebes yeshom meniach tefillin." That the Kohen Gadol's hair was visible between the headband and the domed hat, where he would place his tefillin, and the headband was placed upon his forehead.
Oh, okay.
It's Pekudei, whatever. I mean, we haven't got time really to do the whole Rashi now, but if you have a chance on Shabbos or whatever, to be able to go through it, and if necessary with a translation, and you'll see that it's very interesting how the tzitz sat on the hat of the Kohen Gadol, and how it was attached. It was all, so basically you're going to have six ends.
Mhm.
There were three strings and 6 ends, and all those 6 ends were tied together at the back. At the bottom at the where we put the tefillin shorosh there.
Right,
there.
where the dalet goes, the four.
Right, yeah, so just above that, that's where these 6 there was the 3 strings, the 6 ends of the strings were all tied together. At the back.
Wow, very good. Okay, Yeshikaya.
Right, have a very good Shabbos.
You too. Have a good Shabbos.
Call to be
Thank
well.
you very much. Be well.